Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this new episode of the Visionary Circle podcast. It's me and my lovely co-host, Mr. Sergio, and we have a very special episode today. Our guest today is Miguel. Miguel is a designer, videographer, and overall awesome creative. Welcome, Miguel.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you for being here, man. We really appreciate you. Sergio, walk us into this one.
Oh boy. It's so funny. I just met you. We had a whole conversation.
We did.
Beforehand. So I'm very interested in a lot of things that, we got to talk about. But one of the main things, and I'm going to go straight into something that I'm a fan of. You're a big Disney fan.
I am.
Yeah. So
big Disney fan.
So tell me, I guess, why do you feel like you are a big Disney fan? A lot of people that are not from here, like my mentor, is not a big fan of Disney, but he's from New York. Right?
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of it because I guess nostalgia, all the kid movies that I've seen, and when I was a kid going to Disney and being amazed by everything, and so now I'm able to do it. Is it very similar for you, or what is it that you love about it?
Yeah, I think it's very similar. You have to be very careful with this because I don't want to be placed in the Disney adult category.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's mostly the nostalgia thing.
Yeah.
My dad used to take us when we were kids, and he used to get free tickets through his work.
Wow.
And he used to work in a paint factory back in the day.
I think Disney abandoned that word, by the way. Free.
But a long time ago, actually. He used to get free tickets, and it was like our yearly trip that we used to take. And funny enough, he doesn't like to go, but I always blame it on him. I'm always like, dude, it's your fault. Your fault. I'm always there because you gave me that.
And he doesn't want to go now, you mean?
Yeah, he'll try to duck out whenever he can. I think I've worked for Disney for 7 years now, and I've only been able to convince him to go twice, maybe.
Okay. So you work at Disney. I didn't know that.
I do.
I got to know you.
I just jumped into that one.
Yeah.
I work at Disney. I worked there for 7 years. What's the date today?
Today's
August. I'm gonna look horrible.
In a couple days. In a couple days. It'll be my 7th year. It was August 13th. So, So I
7th.
Yeah. There
Random.
you go.
Yeah.
Sergio knows the date, guys.
Yeah.
He knows the date.
But yeah, I've been working for Disney for 7 years, and I'm loving it. It every
Where in Disney do you work? What do you do?
So I am a retail concept designer. That's my official title. And I design and concept window displays and interior retail displays. Anywhere you see graphics and mannequins and stuff like that, that's
we have a mutual friend. His name is Jojo. He does a lot of set designing pieces and all that. He decorates the walls and all that stuff for restaurants. And then our very good friend Anais, she's very similar. She does very cool setups for her nephews. She'll just surprise them with a bathtub full of pirate theme stuff.
Yeah.
We went to Disney recently, and they were stuck at watching all the window displays and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that's your work.
That's my work. Yeah.
That's awesome.
We do kind of the front end of it, and we try to be part of kind of the installations of it when
you don't understand the flex that I have now. When I walk there with my, I know the guy that did it.
Okay.
These windows, I know everyone.
I know everyone does. Yeah. So if I go to Disney, are you there? Are you working at the park?
Yeah, for the most part on a Monday through Friday type of thing.
Okay.
I'll be there. I work backstage behind Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
Ooh.
So
favorite ride, by the way.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really fun ride.
Yeah.
But
you don't interact. You're not there interacting with
not with guests. Okay. No, on occasion we'll do installs. So we're there kind of early mornings, and this whole week actually is my install week.
Oh,
so I've been doing
so before the park opens.
1 a.m.
Oh, wow. 2 a.m.s, 1 a.m.s.
Yeah, so I'm running on 2 hours of sleep.
Wow, you don't look like it for sure.
Yeah,
no,
for sure.
Just,
fresh.
Now we're gonna get this on camera. I have to ask you: Is there any chance I could just maybe hold something for you while I'm there at 2 a.m. at Disney? I've always wanted to see it just empty.
It would, man. Get in line, man. Everybody asks. I'm not.
He's really strong. He'll carry 4 bags.
Sometimes, unfortunately, I don't
bring your lunch, bro. Come on, something.
Oh, now you're talking about food, so
yeah, I'll bring you anything.
That case, maybe, man.
Uber Eats here?
It's they're strict, man. They're very strict when it comes to all that stuff. Yeah. But
I just want one photo of just empty.
An empty Disneyland in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
You should look at my Instagram. I had been posting. I did a whole I did a reel of just kind of like the quiet of the parks.
Yeah.
And so I did a Disneyland one, and I'm actually gonna post a DCA one today. Actually,
yeah. Don't worry, guys. We're not gonna go just Disney. We are gonna talk about other things, but yeah, just for this first part, I really wanted to dive deep into all of that. So you've been in love with it since you were a kid,
yes,
and then you are now working for them. Is that still there? People get fatigued by where they work.
Yeah, no, I actually spend a lot of time there. Disney was my biggest, I guess, my goal. You know, when I was in high school, I started a graphics class, and I had an art teacher who I was doing ceramics, and those two teachers encouraged me to get into like anything artistic and creative. And Disney was kind of like, you know, because I was there as a kid, you know, I always like, you know, it'd be cool to work there somehow, right? As a creative. And I tried, you know, I had my stints where I tried to like, you know, apply to be a sketch artist and a stuntman at one point. And yeah, it just, you know, it wasn't hitting. But somewhere along the lines of like, you know, my career path, I just kind of landed as a retail concept designer.
Wow, man. I'm super fascinated by your job, like right out the gate. But my personal company is called Visuals by Leo.
Yeah.
And it might come off as like a generic like visuals or like one of those easy creative company names you could come up with. Yeah. But because I come from a scientific background, when I first stepped into the creative realm, I was very, very intrigued by the visual world and visual art, visual storytelling, and how you can captivate, you can drive sales, you can pull on certain emotional strings by putting together a visual display. And I feel like what you do is like right up the alley of visual art. I do want to ask you what if we can maybe get a little theoretical, not like super practical in how you display, but what is the concept of a good Disney display? Like what makes a good Disney window?
I mean, I guess the storytelling behind it. You know, they always come with a theme, and whether it be, you know, for example, you know, for a Christmas set, we did like a cabin theme, right? And you start kind of thinking of colors and textures, and you know, whether it's plaids or wood, you know, stuff like that, very cabiny type of stuff, and it rolls into just the fun of it, really. You know, I try to look at it in that sense. You know, you start to do your research on, you know, cabins and what people hang on the walls and stuff like that. And,
that's cool.
And you try to bring that into the art and into the feel of it. And when it comes to like textures, that's where I kind of have like the fun with it, right? Because, you know, you're thinking of, I don't know, grandma's quilt on the bed or something like that, you know, stuff like that you can bring into the art, or as like a prop, maybe, you know what I mean? So we work with a team that does visual, what's it called?
Visuals by Leo.
Visuals by Leo.
Please.
That's what I had in my mind. I just couldn't get past that. They do like the more visual stuff, so they help us with all the propping. And they come in and they dress the mannequins and they do all like the pretty stuff.
Yes. Kind of like the animation movies where they go to these places to get the ideas of how, and then they start designing.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised, man. I mean, like, you know, when they opened the Star Wars land, you know, people were going to, or cast members were going to, you know, someone's like junkyard, just to find like random old pipes and pieces,
hang them around, and do all of that.
And so, you know, you kind of have to like kind of think outside the box of just like, you know, what can I get from Amazon type of stuff, you know? And so and that's kind of the fun of it, right? You kind of dig into whatever that theme is, whether it is, you know, for Christmas or Halloween or whatever. But you just kind of have fun with all that.
Do you do DCA as well?
I do.
So there's I'm sorry. There's this one window display.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Hopefully you know. It's by where the animation where they draw.
Yeah.
Right. So you keep going towards the Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
Uh-huh.
On the right side, there's a display of France and Hawaii.
Yes.
Okay. Did you work on that?
I did not.
Okay.
That kind of came before. Those they don't change very often.
Yeah,
they
it's been there for a long time.
They kind of stick to a theme.
Gotcha.
And you'll kind of notice that within kind of like the ones that you see like that kind of just like sit for a long time. It's usually because of the theme of the land.
Oh, okay.
And you'll see that on Main Street with some of like the kind of the more old school, feel.
Yeah.
And we try to keep to that.
Okay.
And sometimes if we're designing like, let's say Halloween, we have to kind of keep it to that era, but still bring in kind of like the fun of
that's cool. The only reason why I mentioned that window is because me and my fiance, our first vacation trips was Hawaii. And then we went to Paris and got engaged. And we saw the window and they were both together. And we're like, what are the chances that Hawaii and Paris? Bro, we took so many photos in front of it. Yeah. So I was like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, nerded out a bit.
No, I love that. I love that, dude. I love that. I do have a question. When it comes to basic design, not necessarily these windows, just basic, Miguel trying to design, let's say I hired you to design a set for one of my podcast clients, for example.
Yeah.
What are some rules to look out for? Creativity is thinking outside the box, but there are certain rules that you have to commit to. Yeah. And the comparison I'm going to make for this question to make a little more sense is when you first pick up a multi-camera setup, there's like the 180 degree rule where you don't cross the line of the camera to the subject, and you do whatever you want, just kind of stay within that 180 degrees. And these are basic rules that you can follow to create something that's intuitive and not confusing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, feel free to get as creative as possible.
Right.
What are some basic rules that you feel like are important when it comes to display?
Displays? I mean, I guess it's a little bit different from when you do like, kind of Disney stuff and then a client work, right?
Yes.
As far as with like client work, I tend to really kind of get their feel of like, let's say, the person is into floral, they're into like making arrangements.
Yes.
I try to use kind of like that background of what they like personally, and try to bring that in, because that's going to bring comfort to them, and it's going to come across on camera, let's say. As opposed to, Disney, obviously we have to always kind of keep that line of animated graphics, right? But then you also have to bring in, the realistic propping and when it's a good time to make it more, I don't know, a more like sculpt, like a Mickey sculpt, as opposed to a cartoon cutout. You know what I mean?
You're committing to a theme. You're committing to a visual theme.
You have to like kind of stick to that theme within the whole thing.
Interesting.
And Disneyland, I mean, has a lot of locations, right? And we were just talking about how we have to kind of stick to eras, and you can't kind of mess with the era of like, let's say Main Street, because Main Street was there since 50s, right?
Yeah.
And so that's something that they want to keep alive, and so we can't cross that line, because the moment they have like, for example, decorative frames on the walls of their stores. So if you go in and you start messing with their framing, now you're messing with kind of like the
experience that someone's gonna have,
and nostalgia that people have had since then, right? And so you have to kind of be careful with those things and be sensitive to, not only because you're trying to appease to the people that are enjoying it now, but then you're appeasing to the history of what Walt Disney kind of had in mind back then.
Yes.
And so, and you have to kind of just be careful with that, because, some people come in, especially like creatives, you want to think of like what's new and what's next and all this stuff, right?
Yes.
But there's so much history, and you kind of just have to keep that in mind. And I feel like that also translates to client work, and to, like you said, if you're trying to kind of make a set for like a podcast or whatever, right? Like, I can make you something really cool. I can design you something really cool. But if it means nothing to you, the comfort is gone.
Right.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, it's just something to always keep in mind. And, it's not always about you as a designer. And sometimes we can kind of get away from that. You know what I mean? Because, I'm a great designer. I do this, I do that, and this is my style. I know many designers that have one style that they're really good at and they're badass at it. But if they can't design for someone else, then what are you doing for? You know what I mean?
Is profound. Honestly, what you just said right there is, it sums up years and years and years of experience, because I feel like when you're beginning as a creative, it's all about what is going to set me apart.
Yep.
What is my style going to be? And people get to know you because you have a unique style.
Yeah.
People hire you because of your style.
Right.
And the trick is, when you have enough experience, you have to understand that they hired you because they were interested in your style.
Correct.
But now you have to reinterpret your style to fit what their story is and how they're going to feel.
Yeah.
And I feel like what you described applies to any form of art that is a service.
Right.
Whether you're decorating, whether you're creating doing photography, doing video, clothing design, whatever skill set you have that you're going to be a service that someone is outsourcing towards you, you have to have the ability to be cutthroat at what you do, the sexiest style ever, but at the same time, it's take that thinking cap off, and I got to put a new cap on. And I feel like the moment you reach a high level as a creative, that's what's going to determine whether you make it to the next level from there. Right. Is, are you going to stop at I'm amazing at what I do, or are you going to continue to I can reinterpret what I do to make everybody happy, not just myself.
Exactly.
Love that.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I honestly, so
I'm going to keep going Disney. So if you want to
I
change it. Yeah. I'm sorry. Bro.
No, you're good.
I'm very interested in Disney, and I like that you do windows. I love that you said that. And what I'm thinking is, again, visuals by Leo, visual art, storytelling. Because I make videos so much, my brain is programmed in the storytelling in video format. So the first thing is, and this is a new anatomic feature of a video that didn't exist during the long form content, and it's essential in short form content, which is the hook.
Right.
That is a new part that didn't exist, and now it's if you don't have a hook, you actually don't have a video.
Right.
And I feel like in the visual, in the in-person visual experience world, the hook is the window.
Right.
Because the window is you walking by the shop, and you want to see enough about it to entice you, but not enough to spoil the experience.
Yep.
And it has to be a captivating thing. So I feel like the window of a shop in Disneyland is the hook of a video.
Yeah. Something similar. Yeah.
How do you first of all, is any of the composition of the window designed to drive any form of sales, or is it just part of the experience?
So that was the next part, right? Is that, we were just talking about kind of appeasing to, other people other than yourself, right? And that's the thing. The superstar in the window is the merch, because at the end of the day, we're trying to sell. You know what I mean? So it's very easy to get away from that as a designer, because you're thinking of what looks good and what feels good, and we're talking about colors and textures and all that stuff, right? Which as a designer, that's kind of
The Holy Grail.
Yep. So, but at the end of the day, that right next to your graphic or right next to your something, you're gonna have to put, I don't know, a riser or a pedestal with merch on it. You know what I mean? And so always have to keep that in mind. And that's kind of that's a tricky part, because we're not salesmen in general, but that's why we work with other teams, right? Other teams, like our visual team that comes in and dresses the mannequins up, because I don't know how to dress a mannequin. I'll dress it in shorts and a shirt, and they layer and they put accessories and all that stuff, and that's kind of the other side of it. There's so much that goes into it, because then we get to work with the lighting department that puts the lights in the right spot and the right colors and the right feels, and departments that do kind of the more technical side. So if we have an animated light box or something that moves or something like that. So there's a ton of work that goes into it.
Well, you guys do a great job because I'm always getting pulled into the stores. So
to see what's
and we just gotta buy
the next
stuff.
thing to buy, right?
It's like, look at that. Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah,
And I'm an expert window shopper, so
there you go.
I know my windows.
Yeah. It is such an interesting thing because, you know, like, I never really thought myself to land in like a window display gig.
Yeah.
You know, my degree was in graphic design and advertising, and I did not finish school. When I say my degree is my pre-degree, I did not finish school, but you know, I was so like gung ho about graphic design, and you know, I wanted to do whatever I could. I landed in the print industry, and somewhere along the lines there, their biggest client was Vans shoes. And so I started doing a lot of window displays for Vans, and we were doing structural design at that point. So we were doing basically the back end of their design. So they had the design and we had to figure out how to stand it up and make it look good, and what materials to use and how it was going to hang, and if there was movement, how we were going to make the movement happen.
But did you get hired to do that, or were you just hired like to just sell shoes and then you're like, there's a window, go design it?
Oh no, that was I was a structural designer. That was like my title. And the window displays just kind of landed like, oh, you guys need to kind of get these going for them, and we just started doing them. And I mean, Vans had like 400 some stores.
Yeah.
And so we had to make, 200 generic, and then the other ones were like different sizes, and it was a whole mess. But that kind of threw me into the retail, display kind of realm. And as I kept kind of applying to Disney, and being rejected, they later saw my LinkedIn and they were just like, hey, like interested in something similar to what you do? I'm like, oh yeah. And I landed in retail concept.
That's cool. I think I'll have a better, like more respect than seeing all these window displays. Cause honestly, I thought they were just the employees putting stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I would think. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and now I'm going to be looking at it as like, no, someone professional did this, and it's kind of cool. Yeah.
It's very, very intentional. I have one last question with design, bro. I'm so excited about this topic. I also want to respect the privacy of like, your job. So this is mainstream information, but I do want to ask you about it. So I'm always researching design concepts. Like when I was designing the studio, how to make it, I really wanted people to feel like when they're in here, they're kind of detached from the world and they can focus on the conversation and not worry about, their kids or an appointment. And a lot of it was like the sound isolation. A lot of it's some of the perfumes that I put in the back, the lighting. There's a lot of ways to guide someone through a visual experience. And one of the things that I stumbled upon in my research was something called Mickey's 10 Commandments. Mm-hmm. Have you ever heard anything of Mickey's 10 Commandments?
I have not.
Okay, so what I want to do is I want to pull them up. Okay. And I want to read them out loud. And I want your commentary because I feel like it's really fun to.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it is. Give me 1 second.
Sure.
Wow, and Leo pulling in some Disney.
I love Disney.
You don't show it as much as we do, but it's kind of nice.
I love Disney.
Yeah, JoJo is a big Disney fan. Yeah, we're going on Monday. I'm a big Disney fan. Yeah, I show it too. Disney adult, I don't care. People can tell me. I'm like, man.
I'm there all the time. I actually I started like kind of before COVID. I found like a little group of photographers and videographers within the Instagram Disney community.
1 a.m. 2 a.m. photographers?
No. This was all like in park for fun.
Yeah. I'm trying to
and so I became part of like the Disney community on Instagram, and that's actually how I started my Instagram page.
Oh wow!
Through like Disney content.
That's cool.
And
I can't wait to look at it. Check it out.
Yeah.
I'm ready for you guys.
Right.
So Mickey's 10 Commandments were created by Marty Sklar, a legendary Disney Imagineer, to guide the design and storytelling philosophy of Disney theme parks. These commandments are widely regarded as timeless principles for creating immersive, engaging experiences not only in theme parks, but in film, branding, and graphic design. Here's a breakdown of each of the commandments with the explanation. So number one is, the first commandment is know your audience. Understand who you are creating for and tailor the experience to their expectations, knowledge, and emotional needs.
Right.
So how do you feel like knowing your audience when it comes to, designing a window?
Yeah.
How does that tie into your work?
I mean, you think of who's walking by, right? Yeah, I mean, kids and teenagers and people our age and people that have probably been going to the parks for years. You know, I mean, you hear about, old couples, in their older age that, that's their thing. They've been going since the 60s and 70s and stuff like that. And it's interesting to hear this because I've never heard that before.
That's why I'm so happy that this is like.
But that's great because I mean you have to appease to so many different age groups because it's such a nowadays it's such a for everybody.
It's so diverse.
I mean? Yeah. And I appreciate that they keep that feel of Main Street because I can imagine me being like super old and I go over there and it's all gone. It would be heartbreaking, but because they keep it, I'm like, oh, this is nice. It takes me back.
You would think anybody can come in and be like, let's make it look more modern.
Yeah,
100%.
Disneyland modern times, and I always think about this. I always think, will it look the same in 100 years?
Yes.
You know what I mean? I hope so.
Yeah.
Like, you imagine? I mean, that would be like crazy nostalgic, right? Or at that point, it's just going to be like historic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, right now we still think about it and we're like, well, my grandpa, was there at opening or something like that, right? But even 20 years from now, it'll start becoming historic.
And I love that you describe it that way because I feel like when I do have kids, and imagine how many times I'm going to be taking my kids to Disneyland, how much money that's going to make Disneyland. And like you said, if they remove Main Street, a whole part of my childhood is gone and I no longer connect with Disneyland. Right. So I'm not feeling like I'm reliving my childhood with my children and I don't want to go there anymore. And it's like so many deep psychological anchors, emotional anchors are occurring by just committing to knowing your audience, like who's here. And an example that comes to mind for me is the Block, right? So the Block was where we used to go to shop. Right. When we were kids, we would go there. There was a skate park. It was such an amazing experience for me. And they changed the name to Outlets of Orange. And I don't know what happened, but the moment they changed that name, I feel like I'm in a different place. I lost my connection. Like I'm more excited to take my family members to Irvine Spectrum. Yeah. Because Irvine Spectrum is where I used to go as a kid. And it's Irvine Spectrum. It's always been that place.
Exactly.
Still.
But just them changing the name to Outlets of Orange, I'm like, what is this? Like, it's a different place.
Different feel. Yeah.
So they've lost that connection with me personally. Yeah. And I feel like Outlets of Orange is for sale. Like maybe next week it's going to have a new name. Right. I guess it's a branding integrity loss in my image, but in my understanding. But yeah, that's like, it's so cool that you guys mentioned that. So number 2 is wear your guest's shoes. Think about the experience from the guest point of view, angle, anticipate the questions, confusion or discomfort, and eliminate the pain points. Right. You feel that that's probably right in line with like.
Yeah. I mean, it also, it kind of piggybacks off of what we were just talking about. Right. And you want to have them kind of feel that same story wherever they go, regardless of like whatever land they're in or whatever, and so, if they go into Main Street, they get that feel of like, let's say the Christmas time, right? What we were talking about with like, cabin. You get that feel in there, but then you also get the same feel when you go to DCA, which DCA is more, kind of more like open, more like different style. I think they're some of their stores have like kind of like a 20s vibe type of thing, but you still have to kind of bring in a little bit of that cabin just to kind of keep the story going throughout the different parks, right?
Incredible.
So even if it is just like small details or small graphics here and there or whatever, it just or the textured bow style, that we carry on through the whole resort or something like that. It's very interesting how like, you have to kind of bring it in and keep the storytelling going throughout the different styles of locations.
I love that. Organize the flow of people and ideas. So guide visitors logically through an experience. Yep. both physically and narratively avoid confusion, which I feel like you just described. Create a weenie. Have you heard this term before?
No.
Okay, this is so cool because it's a weird word, right?
Yeah.
But what's a weenie? It's a visual magnet. So Walt Disney called attention-grabbing landmarks weenies because they draw people in, like a hot dog draws a dog. I don't know, that's a weird example, but for example, Cinderella's castle in Magic Kingdom is visible from across the park and serves as a central landmark that draws guests towards the center hub and helps orient them.
That's right.
Do you feel like when you're displaying these windows, there's a magnet, there's one thing that it's the star of the display, it's the star of the show?
Yeah, and I think in design in general, right? When you're designing something, it could be as simple as like a poster. You design with what your eye is going to catch first.
The dominant feature.
Correct. And it could be an icon, it could be a word, it could be, a design feature. It doesn't matter, but you have to once you kind of have that in place, everything else just kind of flows in order.
I love that.
It's very interesting. I mean, a lot of people, designers, for example, for now we have like digital freeway.
Right.
What are they called? The freeway advertisements. The
billboards.
Billboards.
Yeah.
Billboards.
The digital ones.
Yeah, we have digital ones now, and so they're always changing. But even simple stuff like that, you have a couple seconds of like people seeing it kind of on the street. So you have to kind of pinpoint what that is that they're gonna look at first, and make sure that they see that and whatever information is next.
I recently saw one of Mickey as a pumpkin, and that's like the main thing.
I mean, that's just.
And it's like, and then everything else kind of trickles on.
But Disney sells itself, so it's you see the three circles in whatever form, and you already know, right?
Yes.
But it's very simple, for a design to flop. If let's say your eye catches words first and you read it, but you don't know what it is because you see the icon second.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden you're just confused because you're just like, what did I just see? And advertisement gone. And so I think the upside to kind of my work, especially with Disney, is that the constant is there. Mickey's always there. And the Fab Five or, the castle, they're all big icons that we can place and use throughout our designs. So
I love that. Yeah. And I also feel like in video editing, I always have a hero shot, like a very beautiful, incredible shot. And usually I will take more than one take when I'm there, whether it be, in a wedding or a commercial.
Yeah.
And I will have to force myself to eliminate some of the really good shots just to ultra highlight that beautiful shot.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate doing that.
Yeah.
I come across that so much and I'm like, no, I don't want to get rid of this.
Especially for wedding highlights.
Yeah.
It's tough. Yeah.
It's tough.
But you gotta.
Yeah.
And
it's like you start to learn that it's not just about doing something amazing. When you're telling a story, it's not just doing something incredible or showing someone how good you are. It's about putting them on an emotional roller coaster. Yep. They have to go down and they have to go all the way up and they have to go all the way down. Yep. You can't just be up the whole time, even though it's nice and the architecture is amazing, the view is incredible. To leave a long-lasting impact on your viewer, there has to be an emotional up and down, up and down, and usually they call it a story arc for a reason because you're actually flowing emotionally. You go up and down and up and down, and it's so cool how all this stuff is visual, and it extends into all forms of visual art because it's the way we perceive reality. It's actually because of us that these rules exist.
Yeah.
Because the way we understand the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, see, if you want to emphasize how tall somebody is, if it's a Guinness Book of World Records, and there happens to be really big architecture in that area, you film away from that architecture because you want to show how tall they are. But yeah, so
true.
Cool.
That is true.
All right, so that was the weenie, right? Having a visual magnet, something that they have to come up with a different name. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, I'm gonna drop this one. Communicate with visual literacy. Use visuals, not just words, to tell the story. People read images faster than text.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like whenever I incorporate typography in my videos, I have to be very careful with how many words I use because it's very, very lazy to just let the words dictate the story versus the visual sequence telling the story. And we have to be super careful with that for sure. Number 6 is avoid visual overload. So don't bombard the senses or overwhelm guests with too much at once. Focus on key moments to excite and engage.
Yep.
Also, an editing thing is like, I love doing those fast cuts, but then you have to slow down. You have to give them a break.
Yeah.
Too much can be overwhelming for sure.
Absolutely. And then I'll zoom through the rest of these. Tell one story at a time. Keep the message or story clear and focused. Don't mix narratives or themes in one space. Number 8, avoid contradictions to maintain identity. Everything in the environment should support the theme or story. No jarring elements that break immersion. And I think one thing that comes to mind for me in Disneyland is there's a patented trash can in Disneyland, the way it's designed. And I think the story was Walt Disney didn't like that when you look into the trash can, you see like Coca-Cola cans and different types of branding that really take you out of the world. You feel like you're in another place. You may have seen that at a swap meet or at a mall, and it connects your brain to that world. And he's like, no, we're going to cover these because just that is enough of a distraction to take you out of the immersion. So really freaking cool. And then for every ounce of treatment, provide a ton of fun. So while design and detail and backstory are important, the experience should be fun. Should be fun above all else. So like when you're trying to give information, make sure it's very, very exciting. And then last but not, sorry guys, I think I'm boring you with these.
No, these are great. Yeah. I've never heard this, so this is great.
And then last but not least is keep it up, which is just maintenance. Maintenance matters. No matter how good the design is, if it's dirty, broken, or outdated, it ruins the experience.
Yep.
Is that, I assume that's a big part of your world, is like you got to go back to that window, make sure everything was the same.
Correct. And with so much wear and tear, you always kind of fall, you always kind of end up with a few things that need to be fixed and stuff like that. But that's kind of just like the growing pains of
What's crazy is that you didn't know about these, but you were pretty much covering them all.
Right? He was describing the whole, but just from his instinct.
Yeah. I mean, it's I guess like you were saying, right? This kind of bleeds into everything visually creative, and they're great. You should send me that.
Will do.
This is great. I'm gonna share this at work.
He's gonna come with stones like the 10 Commandments.
Yeah, dude.
Bro, how about we come and present them
at 2 a.m.
Yeah, 2 a.m.
2 a.m. Yeah.
So, guys at Disneyland, Leo and Sergio, we're here to talk to you about Mickey's 10 Commandments.
Yeah. Do you guys know what a weenie is? He's like, get out.
Dang it.
That's hilarious. I'm done fanboying Disney.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's get into something a little bit more deeper.
Yeah.
When again we're speaking a lot of times when the guest shows up, if I don't know them, I just like to ask questions and get to know them a little bit more. And we were talking about COVID.
Yeah.
COVID times, how everyone has their story. Can you? And I'm sorry if you have to repeat yourself, but can you take us a little bit back of like and it'll lead up to where I want to go. But how was COVID for you?
COVID was interesting. It's such an unknown. So what an unknown like time, right? Like, especially when it started, because it was part of you was like, is this real? Is this not? Like, what's going on? And for us, it became really real when my aunt got sick, my mom's sister, and
is this early on when everything started like lockdown, or is it before?
It was probably maybe like 6 or so months after it started, and she was in Mexico, so things were a little bit different out there, and their resources weren't always there, and so she got sick and she passed away, and it was a big hit on the family, and like I said, it was just that time's such a blur, because so much stuff like happened and didn't happen at the same time, and around that time my son was around 2. And
just bought a home.
We had just bought a home. We were looking into homes, and then COVID hit, and we're like, no, like it's gonna mess things up. But then we kind of took advantage of it because we low interest rates and all that stuff. We're just like, just jump at it.
Yeah.
And we bought a brand new build, and not something that I thought. I mean, it was a little bit further away than what I wanted, but I think as a man, you're just like, I'm I'm providing, you know, I'm doing what I need to for my family. And that was kind of like one of my biggest things. Like I wanted a home for my family. And the fact that we were able to do it was great. And but you know, with all that came a lot of downfalls, and you know, you're stuck in the house, and you learn things about, you know, yourself and your partner. And unfortunately, you know, that was one of the things that I feel like led to a divorce. You know, my ex and I were together for a very long time, for like about 15, 16 years.
Together and then married.
And then married for 9.
Wow.
So, you know, nothing small.
Yeah.
I think, you know, we went through a lot together, and, you know, nothing was rushed.
Yeah. And in those 15 years of you guys being together, I'm assuming you guys explored, you guys traveled.
Yeah. You know, we didn't do anything like crazy traveling, but I think after we got married, we got a little bit, you know, better at doing that. You know, neither of us were like money makers or anything like that, but we both didn't really come like from money or anything like that. So, but what was great about our relationship was that we were both willing to like hustle to get what we wanted and what we needed. Mm-hmm. And, you know, have that be, you know, our first apartment that led to, you know, our first condo, and then later our house, you know, it's great. You know, there are accomplishments that I feel like that, at the time, like, you know, we celebrated, and it was great. It was a great like milestone for our relationship. But, you know, but then there comes kind of like the other side of that, like, okay, so now we have a home, now we have like huge responsibilities, and you know, work on the backyard, and you know, I don't know, trips to Home Depot and stuff like that, you know, stuff that like you now have to postpone trips because, you know, you have to build out your home, you know what I mean? Like, and it's just kind of the growing pains of, I feel like it's growing pains of, you know, marriages and relationships and stuff like that. And, you know, some people can, you know, I don't want to say handle or not handle, but, you know, some people like can't handle that stuff. Yeah. It's a hard transition. I feel like with anything, it's a hard transition to kind of say, oh, I'm not a kid anymore. Like, I need to do this, you know. For me, like, I mean, when marriage came around, I was just like, oh man, like this is it, right? Like, I'm a forever type of guy. Yeah. So it was like, I need to jump into this 100%. And same thing when it comes to like, you know, building a home for your family or having a child. Like, all of that is something that, you know, as men, especially, like, you know, you kind of have to kind of tell yourself like, this is it. Like,
and before we get there, those 15 years, I mean, you guys, I'm asking this question because 15 years this year with my fiance.
That's awesome.
And we just have a blast together. Even during COVID, it not to sound, I don't know, we got closer during that time.
That's like, great.
It was amazing. It was our first time living together alone. Mm-hmm. So we moved out of my mom's house and we had our own space. COVID did test the waters, but we kind of got closer. And now it's like, I was telling Leo, I wanted to ask you if, while you guys were together, you guys obviously did a lot of things. I'm assuming you guys did Disney trips and did all this stuff, right?
We did a lot of Disney trips. We did a lot of like, I mean, I was a big hustler. I used to print t-shirts and design them and do all that stuff. But like, I would manually print, and she was like right there with all my hustles, man. Yeah. And, but you know, we had fun. We worked hard, and
it's great.
And you know, it was a great time.
Yeah,
definitely.
And before I get to that a little bit deeper, did the separation kind of stain any of those things that you guys used to do? Because there's a lot of things that I do with my fiance where it's like, if we were to split up, I feel like, I don't know, I'm afraid that it will stain my experience going to Disney alone or with friends, or going to, let's say, we love going to the movie theaters a lot because I just love cinema, and she just started, you know, loving it as well. Yeah. So it would stain that feeling of walking into a theater and now I'm alone or with someone else that doesn't feel right. Did anything like that happen?
I thought it would.
Okay. Because,
I mean, you know, 15 years is nothing small, man. You're kind of exploring everything at that point, right? And I, you know, maybe I struggled kind of like, you know, the first or second year of like kind of like being when I got divorced. But I later start to kind of realize that all those things were like individual stuff, like, you know, and then obviously there was a togetherness with, you know, my ex and everything, but there's me as a person, right? Mm-hmm. And all those things that make me happy or whatever. And, you know, for example, like the cinema thing with you, right? It's something that she kind of piggybacked off and became something that you both loved. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, it's something, you know, you might have grown up with, right? Mm-hmm. And I just came to realize that I didn't want to let go of the things that I loved, you know, over someone else's decision. Yeah.
So you're saying I'll be okay if she leaves you?
Okay. That won't happen, bro.
It won't happen. Thank you, bro.
No, it won't happen, man. I divorce sucks.
Yeah.
I tell people that I have friends who have gone through, you know, kind of like talks of divorce, and to this day, dude, I don't think that marriage sucks or anything like that. You know, some people are just like, marriage isn't for me anymore, and that's it. You know, I don't think so. Like, you know, I always tell people, like, fight it, man. You know, divorce isn't worth it. I look at it and I think, you know, my ex is, you know, she's a great person, and we went through our things, and there's a lot of stuff that I don't agree with. But at the end of the day, if I would choose to have my family. Mm. At the end of the day, like that I would choose to have my family again.
Yeah.
Well, you know, her as a person, you know, now maybe I wouldn't want to hang out with her anymore, you know. But on the other side it's like, you know, it's seeing my son happy because there's two parents together and all that stuff is more important to me. And, you know, it's a fine line. People discuss this all the time of like, well, it's better for a child to have, you know, two happy parents as opposed to two miserable parents and stuff like that. But any marriage, any relationship is a constant choice. It's a constant choice of, do I want to be with this person? And that's a daily choice that you make.
Yeah.
You wake up and you decide that that's the person you want to be with. And that's the person you're going to go through trials with and can disagree with and stuff like that. And I feel like the thought process nowadays behind relationship is, if I don't vibe with this person.
Yeah. It almost feels like people are trying to look for their perfect person right off the gate. But it's like, no, dude, the perfect person won't be perfect to you in the beginning, but they are willing to change because it'll make you happy. Yeah. Or like, for example, the whole cinema thing. If I was someone who's like doesn't care about it, it kind of would hurt a little, because like, well, I'm gonna go alone all this time, or I'm gonna stop going because you don't like going. Like, that kind of sucks. But because she saw it, she's like, oh, you like that? All right, let me get into it and see. Yeah. And she liked it. She changed to that person that I would love even more. Right. So yeah, I think that's a big mistake. Yeah, that a lot of people, it's like, I need the perfect person to be perfect in the beginning.
You know, I think a lot of that comes from, I think it comes from like social media and like online dating, and we have this like illusion of infinite choices. You know what I mean? And I say illusion because it is an illusion.
Yeah.
I mean, I've gone into like the dating, online dating, and I hate it. I hate it, man. And I'm guilty of it too. The fact that I'm swiping, you know, no, yes, no. Like,
don't lie. There's more yeses than no.
I mean, yeah, there are yeses, yes, you know, but that's kind of the beauty of like when you think about like how your parents met, and it's like you want to learn about these people, and you don't have social media to like see what they're doing or see, you know, their past or see what their likes or dislikes. Like, you have to sit down and learn that about them, and 100%. You don't get that nowadays. You get a profile, you see something that you're kind of like, I don't like that. But you know what? This next guy or this person in my DMs has that. So discard that guy, get this guy. You know what I mean? And if you don't like that guy, then there's going to be more options because there's these infinite options, right?
Yeah.
But it's an illusion because you're just in a constant loop.
And then also you're looking at couples that are awesome doing videos together, but they don't know that in the beginning it was a lot of work for them to get to where they are now. Exactly. But people see them now and they go, I want that. And it's like, okay, you got to build to that. It's not just gonna happen right away.
Exactly.
And ironically enough, you're only looking at the window of their life.
Wow. This guy's good.
He's really good.
That was good. That was good.
I love Leo.
I was just thinking, like, it's so cool.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
You want to say anything?
Yeah, man, this is a huge topic. So, bro, I want to say this. I love you, man. Like, honestly, like, you're so, so many people, again, talking about social media and the impact it has on our personalities. So many people want to, when presenting themselves, come off as fitting in a certain category. That's what they worry about most. Yep. How am I going to come off as?
Right.
Knowing you in this very short period of time, I feel like you are somebody who's responding to the good and bad things that are happening into your life in a very sincere way. And I connect with you, and I feel like I've known you for 10 years just because I feel like I can learn from you, because like I see myself in you. Like I see a few years down the line, you know, I'm a creative, you're a creative. We have a desire for ourselves. I'm sure you were very careful with who you chose to be with. And it wasn't a 2-3 year relationship. It was a 15-year relationship. Yeah. So you did your due diligence. Yeah. You were very mindful of the entire experience, but life is life. And that is a reality that every one of us will have to face sooner than later, whether it be through the ending of a valuable relationship, whether it be through the loss of a loved one, whether it be through the crushing of your dreams after you spent your entire life trying to start a business or become a certain type of entrepreneur, or become, you know, academically follow a career path, but not get accepted to the last bit of school that you needed.
Right.
Life will life everybody. And
it'll come at you, man.
It's just a matter of time. And I love opportunities to sit with people that have not built their persona on a external fake image that is, let me fit in with a category of people and make you like me. Let me build my persona of like, listen guys, this is my journey and this is how I dealt with it. And I feel like that's how I like to present myself.
Yeah.
That's why I like to always talk about my personal struggles on the podcast, because I don't want you to think I'm a crazy successful entrepreneur, you know, built a studio, like I don't care about that side of my life. Like I'm going to continue to grow as a financial successful person. That's just going to happen because I'm committed to this. And I'm not going to try to make the main thing about me, the window display of my life is not going to be, guys, I'm a successful entrepreneur. Right. Let me show how I did it. No, I want to show you guguys that like, hey, life will life. And when it does, this is what I do. This is how I dealt with it.
Yep.
And this is a lead up into my question. So I'm single now. I'm very religious, and I'm very intentional with the way I choose who I'm going to be with. I know this is, have you heard of the term hindsight bias? Like when you look back at things, you say, I should have just done that. Oh, and it's so easy to be confident with, like, if you're doing heads or tails and be like, oh, I should have said heads or I should have said tails. But only after the fact do you have this confidence.
Of course.
So I know that anything you'll say now might be influenced by hindsight bias because you saw it unfold. And if you go back in time, you'd still make all the same decisions. But is there something you could have done to not end up in a position of divorce? Whether it be with the selection, during the selection phase, during the dating phase, during any phase in time, and maybe to make it relevant to my situation, during the meeting, courting people phase, dating phase, is there anything you could have looked out for?
I think it, for me, it was more kind of like more on the marriage part, on the marriage side, not so much on the courting side. I think leading up to, before even we got married, I think, you know, we had our struggles and stuff like that, but it was a lot of, you know, I feel like we were kids, you know, like you're just kind of having fun and stuff like that. But once you get into like the actual marriage part, I think, and I'm speaking as like a man, right? Like you, as a man, I feel like you shouldn't get complacent, because at one point I was also very, you know, religious, and I'm very committed when it comes to, you know, relationships and stuff like that. So I didn't take marriage lightly. Right. But I feel like you get into this mode of like, I'm here. I made it. You know, I got the girl. I married the girl. And as far as I was concerned, divorce wasn't part of my journey. That was never going to be a thing. I've seen it, I saw it happen with friends and stuff and family, but, I didn't see it with my parents, and I never really thought that was going to be a thing. But I got complacent. I got comfortable. And, I think divorce it comes from both sides. There's fault at both sides. And although I didn't choose it, I feel like maybe there was a lot of stuff that I could have done to not forget my position as a husband, and not get so comfortable of, well, I'm not going to lose this, so like I'm good, right? I thought, that, building my career and getting a home and getting what my family needed was enough. And although those are great things, you do have a partner that also needs you, right? And call it COVID or call it whatever, there was a lot of stuff that just, we dealt with, like, mentally, and we were both in, we started kind of becoming, on two separate pages. And I was so comfortable that I wasn't going to lose anything that I was like, this is just, it's a bump in the road. Not a big deal. This fight, she'll get over it.
Right.
Like, I'll get over it.
Right.
And, it was that comfort also that, I don't blame her for all of it. I blame myself. When I think about that stuff, I think about this complacement that I feel like I had. And that's something that I regret. I regret not keeping, I guess, my mind open as to what she needed from me, and not necessarily what I was just comfortable with. You know what I mean? And we went through a lot of, kind of ups and downs, leading up to the divorce. And there was a lot of stuff that, she wanted to do therapy, and I was never like the therapy type. I was, call it my culture or whatever. I just didn't like to talk about stuff like that with other people. And ironically enough, after my divorce, I started becoming kind of more open with that. I started therapy, and I'm able to talk about it. And I think about that now, and I think, man, that's what she needed for me, and that's what I always try to encourage people that are going through like trials with their marriage to really like evaluate, especially if they're dudes, like my dude friends. I always tell them, like, really think about not what like is bothering you of the other person, but really like study what are you doing, and are you doing enough for your marriage? You know what I mean? Don't worry about the other person. The other person is either, handling their emotions. Think about what you're doing, and if you're doing enough for the other person that you say you love, right? And I always encourage that. And I always encourage, now I encourage, therapy, and I encourage to be open, or at least to talk to someone about it. Because as men, sometimes we just think we don't need to, right? Call it our culture or whatever, especially like, for us, like Hispanics, we don't talk about emotion. Ugh, gross. But a lot of that, to be honest, could have saved my marriage. And I don't blame anybody. I don't blame just her, and I don't blame just myself. But I mean, there's a lot of things that I could have done different to avoid even the trials leading up to that. And you being single and looking, for a relationship, it's as long as you go into it wholeheartedly, man, and you know, you'll be okay. Just don't forget about yourself and don't forget about your partner.
Wow. Right out the gate, and I want the viewers to really be conscious of this. Whenever you have a role model or a friend or someone you want to see whether or not they qualify as someone you can take advice from, look for what Miguel just did, which is look for somebody who doesn't blame others. Look for somebody who looks at themselves and their behaviors and their ability to change themselves to change the outcomes that they experience in life. And thank you so much because I was me being like right now hunting. I'm like, what kind of girl? Like what are the bad things about the girl? And he didn't even talk about the girl. No. He's just like you. Like this is what you got to do.
He looked at his own display and said, "This needs a little bit of change."
100%.
Gotta just let's go.
Yes. No, I really love that you think that way. I think that's very healthy as a man to. A man is so many things in Latino culture. I'm Middle Eastern. A man is things in Middle Eastern culture. A man is something else in mainstream media culture. If a man is one thing, a man is responsible for his actions.
Yep.
And I think if you can, build the foundation of your understanding of masculinity on that concept of you are responsible, you will lead a successful life. Any other time you have to, a lot of guys are like, hey, like they get divorced and it's all, bro, avoid this type of woman, avoid that type of, avoid this, avoid that. Not even once would you hear him say like, I did something wrong or, I like you said, being complacent. Like that's one of the easiest things to fall into because it is an emotional peak. There's a huge buildup to finding the woman of your dreams and marrying her. Yeah. And naturally at the end of every emotional peak, there's a depression.
Yeah.
Just like we're talking about emotional experiences and stories, it's a roller coaster. So you're already kind of set up for being complacent after you find the woman of your dreams.
Yeah.
It's programmed to be that way.
Yeah. And sometimes you only see it one certain way, right? You sometimes as a dude you see it, well, I'm not going to just sit on the TV with a beer in my hand and just like watch sports and ignore my wife and all this stuff like that certainly can be one way, but you can get complacent really easily in others. Yeah. And that's what I learned. I mean, I was never into like, drinking or anything like that. Like I wasn't like about that. I was more into like nerdy stuff. But like I said, you get so comfortable. Being a commitment guy, you get really comfortable saying, everything's gonna be fine.
And I think communication is huge when you're in a relationship like that because sometimes you can get complacent because of how good the other person is.
Yep.
So, for example, I'm the type of person that I like to be organized. I like to clean. Just like you put music on, and I'm just gonna clean the whole house. Right? I can't see dishes be piled up. My brain doesn't function well when it's like there's a dirty home. And one day, my mother-in-law, she was like, the reason why my daughter doesn't do all these things is because it's your fault. And I was like, what do you mean? She goes, you're doing everything.
You do it all.
And the moment that you don't do it and she doesn't do it, you're upset. And it's like, that's not fair. Like you guys have to communicate and expectations is big too. Like you can't expect her to know that you would want this or that to be done. You guys need to talk it out
100%.
And make sure that that's communicated well. Yeah. And I'm like, oh man, and ever since that day, and she told me that, it's like we talk a little bit more. We have like our own like kind of things. It's like, okay, you want me to take care of it? All right, you're not feeling well, I'm gonna go do this. Or babe, I'm not feeling good. Can you do that?
That's the beauty of it, right?
Yeah.
And that's, and that's, we get so wound up in our way, right? That we're just like, babe, I got it.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about it.
Right.
But there's something beautiful about kind of going at it, 50-50, not necessarily like in those percentages, but I heard I think it was a clip on Instagram or something, but I totally agree with it. It's like you go into it 50-50, but you are confident enough that when your partner needs you to pick up an extra, 20% or whatever, you got it.
Right.
Like I got you.
Right.
You're not feeling good, I got you. I got you the rest. But you're also comfortable enough to be vulnerable enough to be like, hey, like I only got 20 today. And the cool part is if your partner is like, hey, I got the 80, I got you. And that's something that I always kind of like, I always look at whenever, in the dating world or whenever now, I always try to look for feeling that way, feeling that from the other person, you know, that you're trying to like both make it work somehow, some way, you know. Maybe they don't like cleaning like you do, you know, but you know, partnership, man. Right. Like there's going to be things that you don't like and things that make you uncomfortable, and that's just kind of the growing pains, but that's what makes strong relationships, I think.
Yeah.
100%. I feel like anything you enter into with that mindset of it's my responsibility to determine the outcome, you are successful. And the place I see that over and over again, and this might kind of get us into a slightly controversial topic, but I'm not going to really go into that, but I do want to share my thoughts on this. So whenever I look at, you know, immigrants, people that have immigrated into the country, and I see them in a public setting, whether you're in Home Depot and you see somebody who just came into the country, you see people that are smoking, drinking, doing drugs, and you see the people that are looking for work. And the ones that have less, the people that have immigrated are the ones looking for work. You'll never see them being the ones that are just on the side of the road, kind of wasted. And I'm thinking like they're the same age. What's different in their brains that is making this person be here and this person be there is that the immigrant comes into the country not expecting anything at all, and hoping and cherishing every single thing that comes his way. And the person that is the citizen, or maybe has been a citizen generations upon generations, they have an expectation from the government to provide something for me, to do something for me. My schooling wasn't the best. My parents didn't leave me with a trust fund, and that expectation turns them into a drug addict and kills them. And the person that was given even less ends up being a business owner, and they open their first supermarket, the second supermarket, or they become a barber, and they become the most successful barber. You might hear some ambulances in the back, but I'm going to keep going. So for me, for example, with recently what's been going on, you know, especially in California, is with like the way immigration has been tainted with a very ugly brush. I feel like we are losing a very valuable resource of recognizing these people's struggles and how they deal with their struggles. Because at any moment in time, if you feel shitty about your life, just look at somebody who's an immigrant. Look at somebody who's just starting out, and you just immediately like just kick out of your funk and get out of those like, oh, I'm not getting enough, or I'm not making enough money, or I don't like my apartment. Like, just be quiet. I mean, there's so many people who have so much less, and that mentality is something that maybe the children of these immigrants will struggle to rekindle that energy, because suddenly they are not in those shoes now. They're in a comfortable position that their parents provided for them. And a fun quote that really describes this situation is, hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. And I feel like with immigration, it's like, it's really hard times. You have this crazy business owner that, like, a lot of the venues that we shoot weddings at, like, there's people like that, dude, like, accent, they barely know English, but they carved every single dollar.
And hustlers, man.
Hustlers, and they made it, and now their kids are comfortable. And one of them is like messed up or wastes his time or is messing around with girls. His kids are going to suffer. The next generation is going to be already born in a suffering situation, and they're going to have to become strong. And I feel like a talented father is the one that, yes, provides their children with the comfort and doesn't let them live the suffering they did, but gives them enough discomfort to grow. We were filming recently in Irvine Spectrum for this event, and I had met the daughter of the restaurant chain Javier's. So when you think Javier's, you think it's like this big corporate thing that, like, you don't know who's the owner of it. It's actually an immigrant. His name is Javier. I forgot his first name, but it's just Javier, and he has 2 sons and a daughter. I think his daughter's name is Olivia. And when you see Olivia, like, born to a very rich father, she's talking about how she was washing dishes in school and you know, going from location to location, starting off at the bare bottom, working her way up the ranks of Javier's, and she's just so down to earth. And I feel like that's such a success story, because not only did her father create something, but, you know, she created something for herself. And this is kind of a lead up into fatherhood, and I wanted to ask you about that. How has all this affected your fatherhood? Like, what do you strive for in these circumstances of toughness and harshness and things not going the way you planned? What does fatherhood look like?
I mean, fatherhood's, it's a trip, man. It's a trip being a dad. But, man, I to be honest, I give props to my parents. And I think I'm the father. I mean, I'm the person I am because of them, right? My parents are immigrants, both of them. And, we didn't have a lot growing up. This is no joke, but when I was old enough and tall enough and strong enough to push a lawnmower, that's what I was doing. Every weekend, my dad had a gardening route, and we were out gardening on Saturdays and Sundays. And, that's what I did since I was maybe like 8 until I was like 21 or 22. And I feel like all of that kind of led up to, I guess taking on the father role, or taking up my role as a man in general, to like a kind of a greater height. Cause, you can get comfortable and you can get complacent with like, oh, I got it all or whatever, but that was one of the things that my dad didn't let us do. Like, he was just like, hey, look, you have a choice. You can go to school, or you can come back and work for me. I don't care. He's like, if you don't want to go to school, it's fine. Come and work and I'll give you work. Figure it out. And man, hell no. Do not want to do that. But I look back at it now and I think, man, if I wouldn't have had that, I could have gone completely the opposite way. And I wouldn't have been able to give my son what he has today, and I don't know, maybe I would have been a different type of father too. I would have been kind of like, cause my son is autistic. So there's a few limitations when it comes to kind of like being a little bit more, I guess, rough on him as like, tough dad type of thing, but I also don't, I also don't, I guess, discourage myself from kind of being kind of tough on him when it does come time to kind of, reprimand him because he's being a bad boy or whatever. But, like it's teaching him. It's also teaching him to kind of, be a better kid. And with, it's hard to explain because he's not verbal. He's not fully verbal, I should say. So it's a little bit hard sometimes to kind of parent the way that I always thought I would. But I'm also not the type of parent that I'm just gonna like, well, he's autistic, so I'm just gonna like let him be, or put an iPad on him or whatever, whatever the case may be. But so I feel like I am a little bit more tough on him when it comes to it, and that comes a lot from like, my dad and kind of how he raised me. But yeah, I feel like I don't see that as a bad thing. You know what I mean? And at first I thought, maybe because like he's autistic and maybe I'm being a little bit too hard on him, or maybe I'm being like, because you get to the point sometimes where you get, as a parent, get overwhelmed, right? And maybe you're frustrated or whatever, but with how kind of I grew up and kind of how hard my dad sometimes was and stuff like that, I also learned compassion off of that. The other side of it, right? I didn't just learn of like, oh, I'm gonna be tough or whatever. I also learned to, apologize to my son because maybe I had an outburst or whatever. And that was actually just a recent thing that happened. As a parent to like an autistic child, you do get overwhelmed. You get overwhelmed because you don't know what they need because they can't verbalize that. And maybe their tantrums just get too much for you, and you just kind of, your first reaction is to blow up. And on one of those occasions, it just really got to me. And I thought a lot about how, like, growing up, we're not used to saying I love you or I'm sorry, son, or whatever, and I don't hold that against my dad or my family or my parents. I don't hold that against them. I see that as a great opportunity to learn something different. And it was one of the first times that I apologized to my son. And I thought that at the time I was just like, maybe he won't know it's an apology. Maybe he won't understand it, but at least I'm showing it. Fast forward to just a couple months ago when he had a little bit of a tantrum, or at Disneyland, nonetheless. He was just having just a rough time. He got overwhelmed, too many people. And, you know, and I told him, I said, hey, like, we can't be doing this. You can't be a bad boy, or else we're going to need to go home. And he was just like so mad at me. Like, he does this thing where he wants to like kind of not hit me, but like he just kind of puts his fists up against me. And I was just like, it's okay to be angry. It's okay to be angry. And, you know, he had a rough time. And then when we got home, he stopped me in front of the door and he said, sorry, Dad. And I was like, whoa. And so the fact that that was kind of like a full circle moment of, you know, maybe how I, you know, felt with my parents or my dad or whatever, and how I brought that, you know, feeling and apology into my relationship with my son. And then he, in his own kind of whirlwind of, you know, his mind, somehow kind of brought her around to me. And it was great. And that right there is what like parenting is all about, right?
Yeah.
You strive to be this like good parent and all that stuff, and nobody's going to be a great parent. You know what I mean? There's always going to be downfalls and stuff like that, but it's those small moments that you get and that you're just like, whoa, like maybe I did something right. You know what I mean? And especially for a child who is not fully verbal, to verbalize, you know, a feeling like that is like, okay, cool.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you just want to make just a kind human being, right? Like, I always feel like when I'm out, and people don't see it this way, but I always feel like I am a representation of my mom.
Yeah.
The way she raised me. The things that I do, the things that I say, the things how I react to things. Yeah. It's like, he was raised well. Right. They say those things. And I think whenever I do have kids, I think those would be my proud moments of like when my son is out on his own, and the decision that he makes, and people come back to me and tell me when he's not in the same room, your son, he's so well mannered, or this and that. It's like that would be like such a big moment. So I can see how like he's stopping you, saying sorry. It's like that's such a big deal. Yeah.
It's great, man. It's a great feeling. And like I said, you know, we're never going to be perfect parents,
right?
You know, but the small things that we can teach them, great, and everything else they're going to learn on their own, just like we are, and just like we're learning and we're changing things from what we're, you know, how we grew up and how we were spoken to, or whatever the case may be. You know, a lot of people have like big resentment towards their parents because they were, you know, treated certain ways, or you know.
Well, I mean, it's not until you grow up that you realize, like, oh, it was harsh because for a reason. Like, I get it now, and this is why I am who I am. My biggest struggle is definitely. I have 13 nephews, mixed bag girls, boys, and my hardest struggle is giving them anything they want. You know, that's like my biggest struggle, because I think I put myself in their shoes, and if I was a kid, I was like, oh man, it would be cool to have like a cool uncle. And now I want to be that cool uncle. It's like, what do you want? Let's go get it right now. Yeah. But no, I'm not saying I do that. I'm just saying it's hard for me not to do that. And I have to understand, like, no, you still gotta, like, when my nephew comes over and he does his like little things, I'm still teaching him. Like, I remember one day I told him, let Tia go in first, ladies first, and then we go, right? Yeah. And then he went back home and he opened the door. And he said, Mom, you go first. Ladies first.
There you go.
And I went over to the house, and my brother's like, did you teach him that? I was like, yeah, I did with Karina. And he's like, wow, that's kind of cool. And I was like, I felt kind of proud, you know, that he did something.
You're getting good training, man. Because once your kid gets here, shoot, it's all over.
Yeah. We'll see. But yeah, that's what I love. I always say that joke. I love about being an uncle is I just rent them out. You know, whenever I want that kid feeling, I'll have them over.
That's the easier way to do it.
And then here you go. You know?
No, that's the easy part. You're just like, you can deal with it, and then everything else. My dad says that nowadays. He's just like, yeah, like I'll like give them this and give them that, whatever. But at the end of the day, like, take them.
Go back to the
Love that. So we've just come up with the name of the podcast. which is Visionary Circle Podcast.
Ooh.
And
nice.
And I feel like everything has more meaning when we say things, especially when it's an emotionally triggered thing, especially like the name of the podcast. I feel like there's a conscious way we interpret the name. There's a subconscious way we interpret the name.
Right.
And I want to learn more about, even if I'm making this up, I want to build the meaning of Visionary Circle.
Right.
And I feel like in this episode, what that means to me of the Visionary Circle podcast, how this entire conversation is relevant to the title of the podcast is that we were talking about creativity, and we switched gears all the way into relationships, fatherhood, but it's all full circle. It's all connected. And as an artist, actually, I'm gonna kind of go off topic for a second. It's trendy right now to go find holistic health options. So holistic health is different from traditional in that a holistic practitioner believes in the connectedness of the body.
Right.
So they're not going to address your teeth, as a holistic dentist will not address your teeth without taking into consideration your gut.
Right.
And the doctor that's a holistic, gut doctor will take into consideration your vertebra or it's all connected, right? And anytime we focus on any part of life as being on its own, we will never be able to address the issues because the issue might not even be in this spot right here.
Right.
The issue might be somewhere else. And for me, being a creative, it comes from a holistic place. It comes from a holistic need, which is when I'm doing creative things, it soothes the suffering of life.
Right.
I feel more okay with the bad parts of life, and we all have really bad parts of life. And I feel like with the Visionary Circle podcast, we're talking about creativity, becoming a visionary, and everything that makes this full circle, right? Maybe just I'm shooting in the dark here, but I'm building this definition. My question to you is, how do you feel like if you were an accountant or you were somebody that wasn't doing something creatively fulfilling, would your suffering have been greater throughout this entire process?
1,000%. I always think about that because I'm going to kind of go off topic for a sec, but I always think about this because for a while I struggled looking for a hobby. I told myself, I need a hobby. I need a hobby so I can like get away from stuff in my brain. I did design, but it was just like, I didn't really find that as like a hobby that I would go sit down and I'm just like going to create logos and stuff like that. I just couldn't find it. And then I started doing like social media content and like I started making videos and stuff like that. And video making just kind of became a thing to where I started noticing that in the times that I wouldn't do it, I would feel down. I would feel depressed. I would feel like, I wasn't really doing much. And once I started kind of taking into consideration that like maybe like video creation to any extent, right? Like whether it be just for fun or whether it be just like a project for, I don't know, a product or something like that or whatever. Like once I started kind of seeing it as like a overall creative thing and as like a hobby, like all of the other stuff just started kind of fading. And I just kind of like really leaned into it. And I've been doing this whole video a day since the beginning of the year. I think I'm on like day 219, I think.
Wow.
Something like that. And I've been doing one video a day since the beginning of the year. And it's challenging, but it's like, it's fun. And it, honestly, I feel like it's helped me so much mentally. Because, given for like the divorce or whatever, I went through some depression and some anxiety and I was never the type to, how do I put this? I mean, now I believe it, but before then, I was the type of person that was like, oh, you have anxiety? You have depression? Like, get over it, dude. Like, come on, man. You know what I mean? It for someone that doesn't know, like I didn't know. I would see my friends that would say that they had depression and anxiety and be like, man, like I can't.
Yeah. I was the same person.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And it was just like, when it finally happened to me, I was just like, wait a minute. Like, this is nuts. And so I have so much more empathy towards it.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like really leaning into the creative of like video making and stuff like that really kind of like triggered something else in me. And I feel like if I was anything else, I would have spiraled. And so it's funny that you asked that because I was thinking about it the other day because someone asked me if I was doing something other than Disney, like what would I be doing? I'm like, man, I have no idea, but I don't wish it because I feel like it really saved me from a lot of depression.
Yeah. Sometimes those thoughts are unnecessary because they can get overwhelming, but it's not real, you know?
Yeah.
So when people do ask me the same thing, I'm just like, I don't know, dude. I'm just happy I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to run with it because I love it, you know? Because, once you start thinking about like, I don't know, and then you start getting into this deep point, like, oh, wait, I don't need to go there because I'm good right now. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, the only other thing that I always think that I'm like, oh, maybe I would be happy doing this would be like culinary. But which is funny because I don't really cook a lot, but it would be so cool to like make fun desserts and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a creative expression.
Still creative, you know what I mean? But as far as like anything else, man, I don't know. I don't think I would be able to do accounting or HR. Or, I don't know. It would put me in a rut mentally, I feel like.
Did you have a job before that you like did that you didn't enjoy? Oh, wait, I mean, not to say you didn't enjoy it, but you did a lot of the grass cutting and all that stuff.
I went through a lot of odd jobs.
Yeah.
I think kind of ever since I started working at a church when I was 16.
Wow.
And I was there for 8 years. That was my first job and I was there for 8 years. But I started as a receptionist and then that turned into like audio visual person during church service. And then that turned into, because I started getting into like graphic design, that I started doing like, you know, their bulletin layouts and stuff like that, all their like graphics. And, but then after that church, I worked at a hospital as like an IT guy, which I didn't really do IT, but I just kind of landed in it and I just learned. And I was a graphic designer for a real estate business card company, I guess. We did business cards. That's all I did. I did business cards and like, you know, like for sale signs and stuff like that. And carpet cleaning, like really random stuff. And then I got into kind of like more of like my career stuff where I went into like that print industry and started really leaning into like the graphic design of my career, I guess. And yeah, but never really did I ever think that I was going to do anything else other than something creative. So, I mean, I'm glad I kind of stuck it out because I feel like some people like will give up and be like, well, it is what it is. I'm just going to, you know, be a paper pusher or something. Yeah. Not that it's a bad thing. That's a bad thing. Everybody has, you know, their thing.
There's someone out there that enjoys that.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
But for me, man, there's no way I would be able to.
So nowadays, like I'll look back at everything that I've done to be where I'm at now, and I'm very happy that I did I wouldn't do it again because it was just such a grind to do, but I'm so happy that I did it. Yeah. And now I kind of like try to live my life of like when I feel very lazy or I feel like I don't want to do like taking out the trash when I need to. I always let's say late at night, whereas tomorrow morning I know for a fact I'm not gonna do it. I always tell myself, do it now and thank yourself later for the future you. You know what I mean? Yep. Like just do it now so that the future you can thank you for doing that now, right? 100%. Is there something that like I don't know, that you feel like when you look back, do you have the same kind of feelings, or is there something that you feel like you would kind of maybe change or anything like that?
Man, I wouldn't change it at all. I think I'm a hustler for that reason, you know, and I don't discredit that. Like, you know, I said, you know, I don't have a degree. Everything just came from kind of just like learning and experience and just working hard, man. And that came all the way from when I was a kid, when we were like doing the gardening stuff. And I don't think I mentioned it, but my dad had also, we cleaned offices and he rented chairs and tables for parties.
Okay.
And that was, you know, He'd be like, "Oh, we got an order in. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like, load up."
The Hispanic grind.
Yeah. And it was just, it was such a normal thing. Right. But as a kid, like, I was just like, this sucks. Like, I don't want to work on the weekends. Like, all these kids are like riding their bikes and I'm over here like pushing a lawnmower. Like, then I hated it. I look at it now and I'm like, honestly, like, it made me who I am today.
Yeah. And if you could look back and go back to a time where you go to yourself when you were like on a low, what would you tell that younger person?
Sack up, dude. Like, I mean, I just, just keep working, dude. Like, you'll be just fine. Good. Yeah.
Yeah. Because when you're there, man, just fine doesn't even. It seems so far away.
It does.
Yeah.
And like I said, I saw so many times where I like envied people from school or other, just other kids that kind of living kind of like a normal life, right?
Yeah.
But it was our parents were just doing the best they could. And honestly, man, if it wasn't for all that, I don't have what I have now. I live a comfortable life compared to what my parents grew up with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was all because of their hard work. And so probably what they want, you're talking about being controversial about all this immigration stuff nowadays and stuff like that. And, my parents worked hard, man. And, I nobody can take that away from them, and they did what they could for themselves. And when we came along, they gave us 1,000%. And so I'm proud of them and I'm grateful for them and I'm here because of them.
Right. Before we wrap it up, I do want to ask a nerdy question.
Bring it.
You said you were always into nerdy stuff.
Yeah.
I walk into your house right now. Is there any,
no.
what's the one thing you're going to show off to me? Like, what do you got? Yeah. What's the
weenie? What's the weenie?
What's the weenie?
So I have a little apartment. It's a 1-bedroom apartment, but it has a garage. Don't use the garage for a car. I turned it into like a mini studio office space, and it's filled with Marvel and Star Wars helmets.
Oh yeah.
And props. I have a Captain America shield. I have some, Iron Man helmets and Darth Vader helmets, and I have Spider-Man No Way Home gauntlet thing. I also collect cards. I collect like decks of cards. I'm not a magician by any means, but I like magic and I do like small card stuff, but I like collecting decks of cards that are like unique and stuff like that. Got some Harry Potter ones that shoot real fire.
Oh yeah, me too.
And a lot of that stuff.
Can I guess your house? Your Harry Potter house.
Oh,
do you have a house?
I do.
You know it? You do?
Damn.
You're not happy with it?
No, I'm not happy with it.
Oh no. Usually people that are not happy with it are Hufflepuffs.
Yes, yeah. I am.
Wow. Whoa. What does that mean? What is a Harry Potter house?
Good. Karina will be impressed. There's 4 houses.
Like teams. Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You just guessed that. That's so crazy.
Yeah.
By his reaction, I was like, "Ooh, he's probably a Hufflepuff."
Yeah, man. I wanted to
seem
be
like a Dodgers, but
I wanted to be a Gryffindor. Ravenclaw.
Ravenclaw, yeah.
But
people are always shocked that I tell them I'm a Slytherin.
Are you really?
Yeah, a lot of people get there. It's like, how and that. But I always tell them, look at the definition of a Slytherin, because in the Slytherin world of movies, they're evil.
Yeah.
But if you look at the definition, I kind of like, I don't want to say like I do, but I do see like those traits in me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, cool. Like I kind of get it. But
don't get me wrong, dude.
But you cut me off.
Sorry.
Nah, I'm kidding. No.
Is that a Hufflepuff thing?
I know.
Is that a Hufflepuff thing?
I meant in the streets. Like we're driving. If you cut me off,
I was like, dang.
The Slytherin come out. I'm so sorry.
No, I knew what you meant, but I saw it. I was like, whoa, that's so cool. Like,
that's funny.
The double play on us.
Yeah. I try to take that. I try to take the test, man, a couple times to see if it was a mistake. Come on. Damn thing kept saying Hufflepuff, and I mean, it makes sense. It makes total sense.
So you're just not happy with it?
Yeah, no. know.
Let's say you worked and displayed windows for a dentistry.
Uh-huh.
Okay, go with me on here with this. Okay,
Yeah.
You did a display there. Is there anything in your garage that in that dentistry you were able to maybe collect and take to your collection?
Whoa, that's unique. Off of that display.
Off of. I mean, you're there at that dentist at 2 a.m. No one's looking at you.
Okay, whenever I work with propping and stuff like that, I like jumbo things. Jumbo things make me happy.
Oh, that's cool.
And so, in some of the windows that we display at Disney, sometimes we have like these like jumbo brushes and jumbo like ink barrels thing or ink jars, but they're huge.
Yeah.
I would take a jumbo toothbrush.
Cool.
Because I would probably put one in their displays.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So you have a jumbo toothbrush?
No, but I would.
You would.
If that was the case.
So okay,
this
so
is theoretical. No.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I mean, do you have any dentistry stuff that you have displayed in this dentistry in your garage?
In real life? Or in my fictional office?
In real life?
No, I don't.
You don't?
No.
Okay.
What?
Where are we going with it?
I'm not trying to say that you took stuff from Disney. I'm trying to put us
Oh, okay.
Oh boy! I really
We
hope
are
you guys
so
caught
lost.
that.
We are
I
so
really
lost.
hope. I'm not trying to get you in trouble, man.
That's hilarious.
That's great.
Okay,
We were equally
but
lost,
now
though.
we can't say
That's
anything.
great.
Yeah,
That's great.
Sorry. I thought
No, I can tell you for sure that I have not.
Okay.
No,
Cool.
I have not. Yeah, no, I wish.
I mean,
but
I would be tempted to.
There's no way, bro. There's no way that the freaking Disney police would get me.
Okay. Yeah,
They're for real, bro.
Yeah,
Every person we get from Disney, they're like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's right.
Be careful, man.
Yeah. I was trying to be careful.
Yeah.
Did it.
Man, I was just like, dentist, no, toothbrush, what?
but I love the answer of like exaggerated toothbrush size. That's dope.
That jumbo stuff. Yeah.
If I could,
yeah.
I would definitely take one of their jumbo paintbrushes.
Oh,
for sure, 100%.
Yeah, I've seen those. Those are cool.
That would be fire.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we have to do a special shout out to Ian.
Ian Cabrera.
Yeah, he made this connection.
Oh, really?
Ian is who introduced us to Miguel.
That's cool.
So thank you so much, Ian. Ian's episode, I think, is like episode 10.
Nice.
It was fun.
So yeah, take a look at that one as well. Very amazing creative.
I'm sure it's not episode 10, but
yeah, you guys, if you're actually
episode numbers.
if you're following up, so there are episodes where I'll be like, "Welcome to episode 12," and the title is episode 10.
Oh no,
That's so funny.
Our numbering is completely off, but Miguel, thank you for being such a sincere person.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for being so open with sharing your personal experience today. I have everything we talked about today was very, very relevant to everything I'm going through right now in life, and I appreciate you for being emotionally open to share that.
Absolutely, man.
I know for a fact that this is going to be one of many episodes and many collaborations in the future with, your design, video. There's so many things that could come from just this connection that has been created.
Oh, 1,000%. I'm always.
And if
always
you're down to go to Disney, dude, I'm down, dude.
Hey.
Like me and JoJo, we're going Monday. I mean, whoever is. I just like being around the people that enjoy the same kind of things.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, if you guys are down, let's go do it. And yeah,
I'm always down,
to go.
man. What about you, man? Are you Disney big deal?
Hell yeah.
He just doesn't have a pass. We got to get him one.
I'll just pay for every time I go. It's all good.
Bro, I got.
You're going to go broke.
Okay.
I got connect.
Okay. That's what we're talking about. Hell yeah. No, I'd love to really. I was actually, I think I should cut this short. I'm about to go on a rant.
Go haywire,
yeah, but yeah, brother, I really appreciate you for today. And, thank you so much for sharing all that. And we'll see you guys on the next episode.
See you.
Awesome.
Cool.
Damn.
Awesome. That was really cool.
I'm sorry, bro. I wanted to make sure we hit the dot on your 6 o'clock.
Oh,
I'm so worried about that.
I got to go at 6:30.
Yeah. Bro, yeah, bring it in, man. That was so good.
Thanks for everything, man. That was
Thank
dope.
you, man.